All right. What's going on, Graham? How are you doing today, man?
I am doing pretty good, Bobby. How about yourself?
It's good. It's a good day. It's a very good day. I'm excited to dive in with you, but first, you were at MicroStrategy last week. I would love to hear how the event went and just your synopsis. We want to start there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were myself and Roman from our team were at the MicroStrategy event last week in Vegas. It went really well. I mean, it was definitely a good. It's a different kind of crowd than you get at some of the other Bitcoin or crypto conferences, frankly. But it was very good. It was a lot of people that are eager to learn, eager to understand what's happening in the space, and what are areas that they can get involved in. And so I think overall, I think it was a great event. It was great to hang out with some folks in the space, as well as a lot of kind of newer folks that are exploring what are the possibilities with Bitcoin. So it was a great event, and then it was right alongside. It was at the same time of BTC plus plus, which was in Austin last week as well. Which I think there's a few kind of topics or takeaways to cover from that as well. So it was a good week for in person Bitcoin events, I'd say.
There we go. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Good deal. As far as Bitcoin plus plus, I know there's a couple like one thing we're going to touch on later, but what was your takeaway or what all did you hear were the highlights from the event? Because I haven't had a chance to really dig in, but I know Ryan Gentry, it looked like he actually did share a long tweet thread. I'll pull that up.
Yeah, I mean, I would to get a recap, I would definitely check out Ryan Gentry's thread. I think he did it for like all of the days of the conference. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much there, so much to cover, so much talked about. So yeah, definitely go check out his tweet thread wherever it is. Um,
Yeah.
because there's just so much to cover. So it seemed like, I mean, it seemed like vibes were high. People were very just eager to kind of collaborate, talk about what's going on. And so it seemed like there's a ton of output, more than we could even cover in this call. But
Yeah.
there's just a lot of things happening, which seemed from what I've heard just a fantastic event as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll dive in here. For those who want to see the recap, Ryan posted all 3 days. His last post was on the third, so feel free to go check that out. But starting off, what we had to cover this week was Taproot assets. It looks like the first KeySend payment was done. Asset channels, and um, you know,
Mm, am I having issues? Bobby, are you there? We don't really know what's happening. If anyone can hear this out there, our stream like crashed or something. So we are trying to figure it out.
Hey, testing. Is anyone there?
Can you hear me, Bobby? Check 1, 2. Can't hear. Jared says he can hear. Gerard.
Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Is anyone there?
Can you hear me, Bobby? I think the audience can hear. So that's good. I don't think Bobby can hear me. Thank you, everyone, for your patience as we work through the technical difficulties here.
All right. Is it working?
Now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the technical difficulty, guys. It looked like the server IP address of Restream broke, but we'll keep pressing forward.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it seems like the audience could hear us as well. So, hey, we're back. Yeah, sorry about the delay. Back in business. All right. Go ahead, Bobby. You were talking about Taproot channels.
Yeah, so I guess the question I had gotten cut off on was, from a technical standpoint, what does this mean for builders, but also what does it just mean for average everyday users?
Definitely, yeah. So this week we saw Lalu, aka Roast Beef from Lightning Labs, tweet about he did the first mainnet asset send or mint or both for Taproot assets. Basically, Taproot assets have been live on layer 1 Bitcoin for a little while now. And it's been kind of the highly anticipated release of it being Lightning compatible as well. And this is basically the first glimpse at that. He's using, the latest version of LND and TapD, which I don't think are officially released. There's probably like some release candidates cut. But he's he built it locally and was able to do an actual Lightning transaction with Taproot assets, which is, really exciting to see. This is great, especially as there's a lot of things that are there's a lot of new things being pushed on the layer 1 protocol, but there's not a lot that are Lightning compatible yet. And so this is kind of the first of its kind of actually being able to do like this asset issuance and transactions on top of Lightning, which is done via, adding in Taproot channels into LND and then, making it compatible with the Taproot assets protocol. So it's really exciting to see. I mean, this has been a long time coming and it's great to finally see it in the wild.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. I know they have a Taproot call, I think planned. Is it for the 15th is when it is, like the community call they do weekly? Is that right?
Potentially. I'd have to check my calendar. But yeah, I think that they're definitely doing a lot of like community engagement with it and whatnot.
Yeah, so if you want to start building on this, guys, it is the 15th. You can check that out. And if you want to know, just leave a comment in the notes. I'll happily link you guys for those who don't have an immediate link. But moving forward, Bolt 12's arrived. I know you mentioned Bitcoin Plus earlier. Graham and Nate, our support engineer, attended the event. He was really talking about how great it was, and a lot of people were advocating for Bolt 12 and less LNURL. So it seems like even Strike, they actually added support for Bolt 12 this last week, which I didn't reference with an article, but it seems like Bolt 12 is really having its moment here this month.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that Strike added Bolt 12. I think that they were looking at it. I think that they were playing around with it.
Mm.
But yes, I think that ultimately there's been a lot of people have been kind of interested in Bolt 12 for a while. It has been I was slow to adopt, or whatever the term is. It takes a lot of kind of technical changes or improvements to get it across the line, and we're starting to see a lot more folks kind of adding in support for it. So LDK is working on it through this like blog post of kind of outlining the status of it, as well as the Core Lightning. I think has had it for a while, at least. Bolt 12 encompasses a lot of different things, and so I don't know if it's like full 100% compatibility or not. LND doesn't have it natively, but there's kind of like an add-on sidecar that you can run to add in some Bolt 12 functionality as well. So ultimately, this is great to see this continuing to be pushed forward and worked on, especially as we see a lot of people are interested in leveraging Bolt 12 over things like LNURL. It's more kind of protocol native, requires less other things, to kind of be incorporated into the stack, so to speak. So it's been really good to see this come out and see the continued adoption of Bolt 12. Especially as we see, I think a lot of people are demanding it. People want to see this kind of in the wild, so it's awesome to see.
Yeah, my first tattoo might be a Bolt 12 QR code, and that'll really encourage me into old age to have like a tight muscles, tight body, so I can reuse it.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Yeah. Cruising along here, this is pretty interesting because obviously in the last couple of weeks, there's been some arrests of Roger Ver, what was it, the Samurai mixing service guys, and some other services were shut down. But within a week, it looks like Super Testnet has released a CoinJoin work coordinator. I don't know if you can like maybe quickly dive into like how this is executed, but also beyond just technical component, it's swiftly something like this came about from just the engineering world upon like some of these like centralized kind of groups being shut down, even though the open source software still functions. But
Yeah, I mean, this has been really, really interesting to see. Super Testnet is kind of notorious for coming up with these kinds of like ideas and kind of posting, quick proof of concept. So it's awesome to see this, especially in the wake of kind of the last couple of weeks and CoinJoin coordination services kind of shutting down for one way or another. So this is cool to see. I think that he essentially replaces a lot of the main kind of centralized coordinator efforts with things over Nostr. So I think that, using relays and whatnot, which I think is interesting to see. I think that the kind of more decentralized coordination is certainly interesting to see. I don't know if it exactly changes a whole lot from like, now kind of your Nostr relay is the coordinator. And so you might, from a Nostr relay perspective, you might unintentionally be a CoinJoin coordinator, which like gets, into like, whether you want to be doing that or not. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how the community kind of takes this up and if it kind of establishes legs and actually gets adopted or not. I think ultimately it's cool to see the experimentation there, and we'll see what kind of people want as far as like how this interacts with Nostr and those kinds of things. So interesting to see.
yeah. And side note from this, I've seen just in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't pulled it up because it's not necessarily Bitcoin or Lightning news, but a lot of issues that like AI companies and different organizations have had where they need to have some form of decentralized identity or handling like AI payment spam. And then I see like Ryan Gentry in the comments or Max Webster, and it feels like there's almost this like we're crossing a bridge where these other industries that are not natively integrated with Bitcoin and Lightning, their problems are becoming more surfaced, if you will. And the Bitcoin technology and just the additional layers are nearly there to really solve those problems. So I don't know if you have any insight on that. We could move on, but it just really feels like the time is coming, and it's becoming like more in the face of some of these other industry players that are in different verticals of business.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all just to say there's a lot happening and there's a lot of different things kind of moving at once, and it'll just be really interesting to see all these things kind of come together.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to get into some of the Fed news. We've got Cash App getting examined, and we have Robinhood who gets the Wells notice. And I think, whenever I see this, there's two things that come to mind. There's the gut check reaction that I think a lot of folks have online, where it's like, hey, uh,
I don't know if the audience can hear me, but I know that I can't hear Bobby and he froze again. So I think our streaming platform is having some issues today. So that is a thing.
all right, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know where it cut off, but both of these points of like Robinhood and there is the then they fight you stage, but it's also kind of a standard like legal procedure in some ways to dig into these companies, because I hear Cash App all the time mentioned in like rap music. And if you kind of look at the Cash App story, like much of that app has been used for a lot of, non-small business things like between people. It's mentioned in rap music. So it seems like their company is constantly under scrutiny. But same with Robinhood, how they've kind of gamified betting and gambling in the stock market, since a lot of it is options if you followed, Wall Street Bets. But I'm curious if this is one of those moments in your mind where it's just, we've got to go through some of the regulatory scrutiny and hopefully we have clarity, but it's just the aggression's here to, monitor and go through some of these companies' financials.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of things. I think for people like, Cash App being kind of transactions looked at and whatnot, I feel like it probably happens a lot more than we think. And this is just kind of like, maybe I think that the title is probably a little bit blown out of proportions for any kind of large regulated public company like that. They're probably getting looked at often just from like just a sanity check perspective. So I don't think that's exactly a large deal. I think that Robinhood getting a Wells notice is potentially a bigger deal, just in that they're joining people like Coinbase and the Consensus Foundation or whatever alongside that. So it's there's definitely it's obvious that the SEC is kind of I don't want to say necessarily taking more of an aggressive stance. Maybe that is accurate, but I think that it's also on the impending kind of regime shift in like U.S. politics and kind of maybe trying to push things forward faster as we head into a new election. I think there's a lot of things at play here, but ultimately they're kind of coming after these really large players that are, basically saying that they're, doing things wrong. But I think that on the flip side, these people have been asking for kind of clarity and help from the SEC for a while. So it's really interesting to see this dynamic play out. Hopefully it can kind of end positively for everyone involved. And it just ultimately, we can all kind of move on from it.
So I'm not sure if you can hear me, but everything that just came through sounded like the Matrix. I'm not sure if it's working for
Nice.
everyone else or if it's just my computer here, but
no, I mean, I can hear you, Bobby. I think that it sounds like
it sounds like you can hear me. We'll try to work through this.
All good. We should probably just end it on this note because I think Restream is having just a bunch of issues. So we can just call it there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for sitting through some of the Restream issues. We'll be back next week, and any topics you'd love to see covered, feel free to share them. But we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good week.